Welcome to the On Deck podcast presented by LineStar. We've got all your fantasy baseball analysis plus a sprinkle of prop betting. Alongside Tyler Wiemann, I'm Shannon Sommerville. On today's show, we talk about how Aaron Judge was 4 feet away from history. And in our daily fantasy baseball projections, we'll talk about the top 3 highly owned pitchers that you actually might want to consider fading. And we'll also have our prop bets and home run calls. So let's get into these MLB headlines. We've got 12 games on the slate for today. So we're excited about baseball and getting into the heat of this wild card race as well. Aaron Judge, not sure if you saw the at-bat yesterday, but just 4 feet away from making history. He had an absolute bomb to dead center that traveled 113 miles an hour. It traveled 404 feet. He hit that off Red Sox righty Matt Barnes, and it was caught right at the wall by Red Sox outfielder Kike Hernandez. The collective breath that was let out by all the Yankee fans in attendance in the Bronx. Some disappointed fans there.
I had an interesting question that I was asked yesterday. Say you're a below average major league pitcher. You're facing Aaron Judge. He's about to tie or break the record. Do you just throw him strikes so you can get into the record books?
As we saw yesterday, a lot of pitchers did not want to be a part of that at all, and they in fact walked him.
Yeah, and that was why the question was asked, is he hasn't been getting strikes. So what would you do?
Not a lot of, if I'm a pitcher, well, I'm going at him.
You're going at him?
Yeah.
I like it.
That way, you're able to say, you know what? I struck him out. Got to be brave in there. It depends, though, of course, on what the situation is. So now Aaron Judge, still one shy of tying Roger Maris's American League record set back in 1961. The Maris family was on hand as well, and they seemed disappointed also that he didn't hit it, which was nice to see that shot of them on the broadcast.
And they've been going to pretty much every game. They obviously want to be there for that moment. Who knows when it's going to happen?
Well, Yankee fans still got a show because Josh Donaldson hit an RBI single in the bottom of the 10th to give the Yankees a 5-4 win. A walk-off that actually clinched the Yankees a postseason spot. So the Yankees are in the playoffs. Still looking for that AL East title, though. We've got a lot.
Yeah, I think they got it.
To the other New York team, the Mets. They are currently in the lead in the NL East, but right on their heels, a game and a half back, is the Braves. Now, there is a tight battle for those wild card spots. Now, there's 3 wild cards up for grabs in both the American League and the National League, and we've got a tight race right behind them. So there's a battle for those other wild card spots. The Padres, a game and a half back. There's a battle for that second wild card spot. Padres, a game and a half over the Phillies, and then you've also got the Brewers 2.5 back. So your Padres very much in the mix, looking like they're playoff bound.
On both sides, it looks like we know who the wild card spots are, but there still is enough games for definitely the Brewers to sneak up there.
And in the American League, you've got the Blue Jays, the Rays, and the Mariners. However, the Orioles are also in the mix. They're just 4 games back, and a lot can happen between now and the end of the regular season.
At this point, Orioles probably are the first out. 4 games is going to be a lot to make up at this point. But Mariners just did possibly lose Julio Rodriguez for a little bit. It's a big loss to their team.
Huge loss.
So who knows?
Home run derby champ goes down. And that'll hurt your team.
And likely rookie of year.
If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to like this video if you're enjoying our content and subscribe to our channel. And you might even want to sign up for notifications as well because we're coming out with a lot of content lately and we want you to keep up with all the videos that we've got coming out. Now let's get to our daily fantasy projections of the day. We'll start off with our pitchers and the pitchers that are highly owned today in daily fantasy. And we'll talk about why you want to actually might want to actually fade them. So first we've got Yanks righty Garrett Cole. He's going up against the Red Sox today. While he's averaging 10 strikeouts per game, he's actually been a little bit inconsistent against the Red Sox. Given that, and his ownership is high for today, how does he look to you as a daily fantasy prospect?
So Cole has struggled versus Boston a little bit. 180 plate attempts. They're hitting 270, have 14 home runs, which is a lot of home runs. But you mentioned the strikeout things. He is striking out 31.7% of Red Sox in those plate appearances. So that high K upside gives a nice floor, but he's averaging 3.5 runs per game versus the Red Sox this year. So with that, it's not like he's in a terrific spot. There's a nice floor for him, but that ceiling might be a little low just because of how many runs he's given up.
A similar situation for Phillies righty Aaron Nola going up against the Braves today. And another situation where historically he hasn't done great against the Braves. Over 4 starts, he's given up 14 runs against them. Is he appealing to you at all?
Yeah, it's funny. It's actually the same exact situation as Cole. So Cole also 4 starts, 14 runs, 3.5 runs per game average. Like Cole, Nola has great K upside. He's had that versus Atlanta. Obviously, it's a tough matchup. So we have a high floor. Once again, though, that ceiling might be a little low. Both of these pitchers are capable of, limiting runs and having that high strikeout upside. But we just haven't seen it from them this year, really, versus these two teams.
And given the high ownership, it's a play where if you fade them, you'll get a lot of leverage out of it for daily fantasy. So looking at Chicago White Sox, Lucas Giolito, he's going up against the Tigers today. He's done well over his last 3 starts, including a start against the Tigers where he gave up just 1 earned run. What do you make of his prospects for today against the Tigers, who we know are fairly anemic at the plate?
They are. And Gio has really solid name recognition, so I think his ownership may be getting pushed up a little bit because of that, because he hasn't really been that great. 4.4 FIP over the last 5, which is actually better than his last 20 numbers. 23% combined K rate, so not a huge upside in the K department, but he does have a really good matchup. Detroit Tigers, 273 WOBA, 111 ISO versus righties. They're a pretty anemic offense. Gio is just kind of a meh pitcher at this point in his career, though.
Let's get to some low-owned pitchers for today, and these are your sleeper picks for daily fantasy. We'll start off with Giants lefty Carlos Rodon. Today, he's facing the Diamondbacks. Now, Rodon has a top 15 ERA. He is a strikeout machine. Last game, 11 strikeouts. I'm actually a little surprised he's not a little bit higher owned. What do you make of his matchup for today?
I agree with you on that, and I think a big part of the reason that he's not higher owned is that he is away. He has been much better at home. This one is on the road, but Rodon has been amazing lately, and this Arizona offense has been on struggle street. Rodon, 39% K rate over his last 5 starts. That's just crazy. That is almost DeGrom levels of strikeouts. The combined K rate is 31%. That alone needs to draw some interest. And at 19% or 5% based on where you're playing, I think you got to give him some real solid consideration.
Nobody, Tyler, wants to find themselves on struggle street.
Nope.
That's for sure.
Nope.
Next up is Mets righty Chris Bassett. Today he'll be facing the A's. Now, in his past 2 starts, inconsistent. So he had a great game, the last game against the Pirates. However, the game before he got absolutely shelled by the Cubs. Given the inconsistency there, how do you view his prospects today against an A's team we know strikes out a good bit, and we know is also a team that is prone to struggling?
Yeah, so
that's struggle street.
Bassett doesn't have the K upside that Rodon, Nola, or Cole does, but he has been super efficient, and he's had several high K games. those have come against poor offenses like Pittsburgh. Oakland is a similar situation. We know we like to play Oakland versus righties. It's our favorite matchup. I think he is going to be able to pitch late into this game, and he's going to have that K upside because it's Oakland.
So we like Rodon and Bassett. Yesterday, you called it on Zach Gallen, who had an incredible game.
Yep, his best start of the year, 13 Ks.
So you called it yesterday. I hope you guys used our advice there. Now we're going to give you some advice in team stacks. This is where you try to create a little leverage, and the idea of team stacks, of course, is to increase your chances of winning these larger contests by stacking some of the same players on the same team to increase your odds with that. So that being said, let's go to some teams who are more highly owned and perhaps a situation where you might want to fade these teams. We'll start off with the Padres. They're at the Rockies today, going up against righty Ryan Feltner. Now, he's got a 6.05 ERA, and that's actually higher at home. Not surprising, given Coors Field is the best hitter's ballpark there is. What do you make of the Padres today?
So the Padres have struggled a little bit in Colorado this year. They're also super high owned today. So it is something to give consideration. Most of the field is going to the Padres here. Now, Feltner has not been a good pitcher, 36% hard contact, really high FIP. The Padre offense seems like it's coming around a little bit. Soto's come out of his slump. So you have to have some interest in the Padres here. It's just, do you want to bite on the high ownership?
There's also high ownership on the other side of that matchup where the Rockies are facing Padres lefty Sean Manaea, who's struggled the past 3 starts. Yes. I can't imagine that gets any better at the hitter-friendly venue of Coors Field.
And like I said, the Padres have struggled. Colorado has got to the Padres pretty consistently in Colorado. They're also much better versus lefties, which unfortunately Manaea is. So I think you really got to like it. Manaea is giving up 47% fly balls, a decent amount of barrel balls, and a really high average exit velocity. So I would not be surprised to see, a couple balls go over the fence. The one thing to consider, though, is the wind is coming in here in Colorado, so it's not quite as big of a Coors bump as it normally is, but we still have a game total of 11. It's way higher than everything else on the slate.
So perhaps not a situation you want to totally fade in these daily fantasy contests.
And San Diego is coming in way higher owned than Colorado. So you can play Colorado and still get that Coors effect with a lot less ownership.
Next up, we're looking at Kansas City Royals. They're going up against Seattle Mariners lefty Marco Gonzalez. Last game, he gave up 5 runs to the Angels. What do you make of this high ownership here?
So KC is another team that is better versus lefties. 183 ISO, 337 WOBA. And Gonzalez is prone to some blow-up games. However, he also can limit runs here. So I don't love following ownership here. Like we've talked about it, KC isn't a great offense. Yes, they are better versus lefties. But I think if I'm going to follow this ownership, I would rather just go with Colorado.
All right, so we were liking some Rockies bets today in our high-owned team stacks. Now let's get to some low-owned team stacks. This is where you can find some of the leverage for these contests. We'll start off with the Yankees. They're going up against Red Sox lefty Rich Hill, who's got a 4.7 ERA, and he hasn't made it too deep into games. Hasn't made it past 5 innings, in fact, in the last 4 starts. So the Yankees in a good spot today, including Aaron Judge.
They are. And Rich Hill, he's about to face a ton of righties. And he's just not as good versus righties. He's giving up a 330 WOBA, 182 ISO, and Yankees happen to have a bunch of really good righties, namely Aaron Judge. The wind is also blowing out really hard, but the temps are chilly. I think you have to have interest here in the Yankees. Not only Judge, who we all know right now is going to be high owned. He is just crushing the ball. But you can get the rest of the lineup at not that high ownership. So I like the idea of stacking with Judge. It'll bring down Judge's kind of total ownership, if you will. So Yankees are in a good spot.
You're absolutely right. They've been surging at the plate late. Not just Aaron Judge. Nope. Last night we saw the walk-off from Josh Donaldson, who's been heating up at the plate as well. So you can find the value elsewhere besides Aaron Judge, who's obviously very expensive.
Yeah, and Torres has been hitting well. Rizzo's back in the lineup. I think there's a lot to like here.
Next up, let's look at the White Sox. They're going up against Tigers lefty Eduardo Rodriguez, who has been inconsistent. He's got an ERA over 4. White Sox, we know they can hit the ball. What do you like about their matchup today?
So they also hit lefties hard. So 351 WOBA, 166 ISO. Meanwhile, Erod just hasn't been good. FIP of 5, 31% hard contact, 38% fly balls, ton of barrel balls, and he's really prone to some blow-up games here. So I think the White Sox are in an interesting spot here. They could definitely get to Erod.
So some great plays there for your low-owned team stack. Gave you some sleeper picks there. Kind of liking Josh Donaldson today, not going to lie. I think they're feeling that energy, not only from last night's walk-off, but Aaron Judge's chase as well, I think, has fired them up, seeing that packed stadium.
And they want to clinch it.
There you go. All right. All of that information you can find on the LineStar app. LineStarApp.com has everything you need to dominate in daily fantasy. Plus, we've got the new tool, Props Edge, that will help you also place those prop bets. All those bets you want to place in the sports books, it gives you the best edge against the sports books, Underdog Fantasy, PrizePicks. So check it out, LineStarApp.com. Now let's get to our home run calls of the game. Tyler, where are you headed with your home run call?
It saddens me to say this, but I am picking on my San Diego Padres, and I'm going with C.J. Cron. 24 of Manaea's 28 home runs given up have come against a righty. Cron is a righty bat, and he is also a top 20% hitter versus lefties. We're going C.J. Cron.
I am also going with a Rockies.
Sad day.
Rockies bat. Got to do it. Sometimes you've got to separate your heart from your head in this one.
Padres might be on struggle
street.
In
fact, with me as well, because I picked Aaron Judge the last 2 games and he hasn't done it, so I'm cursing him. So today he's probably going to hit it on the day that I don't pick him. I'm going with Rockies DH Charlie Blackman, going up against Padres lefty Sean Manaea, who has the 6th highest home run per 9 rate in all of baseball among pitchers with a minimum 80 innings pitched. Now, Blackman is a lefty bat that has much more power against lefties, which is usually you see the other way around, where righties are better against lefties. In his case, it's the opposite. So this is also at Coors Field, the hitter-friendly venue. Blackman going yard. Rockies bats in general. Both of us on the same page with that.
Yep. Hopefully you cursed them like you did Aaron Judge.
All right. Now it's time for our prop bets of the day. Where are you headed for your prop bet?
I'm going with an ex-Padre, came out of the Padre farm system with Luis Urias over 0.5 hits. Not sure who's going to be the starting pitcher today. It was supposed to be Mike Minor, but he landed on the IL. And Cincinnati pitching just isn't good. If we get to the bullpen game early, Urias is sure to get a hit, and he's hitting over 270 the last month. So with 0.5 hits, I really like the chances of him going over. I'm
going with Braves first baseman Matt Olson going up against the righty Aaron Nola. I think he gets over 0.5 hits. Olson has been struggling at the plate lately. His average is below 200. However, he has gotten a hit in 3 of the last 4, so perhaps he's turned a corner there. He's going up against Aaron Nola, good pitcher. However, when you get to that Phillies bullpen, they actually have the 8th highest ERA in baseball. Not exactly that dominant, so even if he doesn't get a hit off of Nola, his chances definitely increase against that bullpen. I think he gets that hit today.
I like it. I was looking at that one too.
Yep. Great minds think alike, Tyler.
Yep. No struggle street here.
Do we think that Aaron Judge will hit 61 tonight?
Yes. And Michael K is not on the call.
He is not. Today's game on
all
the
of your
streaming
worries,
service, Apple TV.
all of your worries could come true tonight.
Like you mentioned, though, you're more interested in 62.
I am more interested in 62, yeah. I think it's a bigger one.
All right. So we'll be on Aaron Judge watch. Good luck to you in daily fantasy. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Go crush it out there. Crush your prop bets. You can tail us on Underdog Fantasy as well. Link to that is below. New users who deposit at least $10 can get up to $100 match. Use the promo code LineStar. Good luck. We'll see you guys next week.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.